My name is Rachel Hughes, and I'm 34 years old. If you had asked me a year ago what kind of girlfriend I was, I would have said steady. Not flashy, not loud, but present. I remembered birthdays without reminders. I planned weekends that felt like exhaling. I showed love in ways that didn't photograph well. Evan used to say that was what he loved about me. We'd been together almost 2 years. He worked in marketing for a fast-growing tech startup. I was an accountant at a mid-size firm. Not glamorous, but solid. I liked knowing where my money went. I liked quiet competence. I liked finishing things. At the beginning, Evan told people I grounded him. But about 6 months before everything fell apart, something shifted. It started after he joined a boutique fitness studio near his office. He made friends fast, especially with two women, Chloe and Madison. They were loud, confident, always dressed like they were on their way somewhere important. Their boyfriends were the kind of men who made entrances. One worked in finance and posted his wine glasses like trophies. The other claimed to be a startup founder and never stopped talking about the next level. At first, Evan just mentioned things casually. Tyler surprised Chloe with a Rolex. Madison's boyfriend flew her to Cabo last minute. He'd laugh when he said it, but I noticed I was the only one laughing. Soon, the comments changed tone. It must be nice to be spoiled like that. Some people just live bigger. When I suggested a hiking trip I'd been planning for months, Evan wrinkled his nose. Can we do something nicer? That word stuck with me. The night everything broke, Evan insisted we all go to dinner together. A steakhouse downtown, white tablecloths, leather chairs, prices that made my chest tighten. I could afford it. I just didn't believe money tasted better when it hurt. The dinner was a performance. Tyler ordered wine by the year. Madison's boyfriend kept adjusting his watch so the light would catch it. I tried to engage, asked questions, smiled, played polite. Every time I spoke, Evan's hand tightened on my knee. Not affectionate, cautionary. When someone asked what I did for work, I answered plainly, I'm an accountant. Evan jumped in immediately. But Rachel's amazing with numbers. She's very practical. The word practical landed like an apology. Then came the moment I still replay when I can't sleep. Madison gushed about a surprise trip to Cabo. Chloe chimed in about Europe. Then they all looked at us, waiting. Evan laughed. Sharp. Brittle. Rachel's more of a simple pleasures person, he said. She got excited last week because I brought home grocery store flowers and we made pasta. I felt my face burn. Someone muttered something about romance being different for everyone. And then Evan snapped. I'm tired of pretending this is enough, he said, turning to me. Look around, Rachel. Everyone else here has a boyfriend who actually tries. The table went silent. I'm exhausted defending why my girlfriend shops at Target and thinks homemade dinner is romantic. I couldn't breathe. I love you, he added, almost kindly, but I need someone who can give me the life I want. That's when I stood up. I paid the bill, all of it, placed the cash beside my untouched steak. I looked at him once. I hope you find what you're looking for. And I walked out. I didn't go home that night. I drove until my hands stopped shaking, then parked outside my friend Lena's apartment and sat there in the dark, replaying Evan's voice in my head like it was stuck on a loop. I'm tired of pretending this is enough. My phone lit up before I even made it upstairs. At first, the messages were angry. You seriously abandoned me there? Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I didn't respond. Then came the pivot. I was drunk. I didn't mean it like that. Please come home so we can talk. By morning, the tone softened further. I love you, Rachel. I just want us to grow together. That word again. Grow. As if love was a performance review. I stayed with Lena for 3 days. Evan texted constantly, never once saying, I'm sorry for what I said. Only variations of you took it the wrong way, and we both said things. On the 4th day, he showed up unannounced. I stepped outside so Lena wouldn't hear. He looked tired, unshaven, nervous in a way I hadn't seen before. I can't believe you just walked out, he said immediately. Do you know how that made me look? I stared at him. You told me I embarrassed you, I said quietly, in front of everyone. He waved a hand. You're being too sensitive. Couples should be able to be honest. Honest. Then he smiled, like he was offering a compromise. I've been thinking, he said. We could work on this, together. I waited. You could ask about advancement at work, he continued. Maybe update your wardrobe, be more comfortable with nice things. My stomach dropped. And my parents, he added, lowering his voice. They help Chloe sometimes. There's no shame in that while you're getting established. That was the moment something clicked. He wasn't sorry. He was embarrassed that he'd said the quiet part out loud. You don't want me, I said. You want a version of me. He frowned. That's not fair. Isn't it? I asked. Because it sounds like you've been tolerating me. That's when the mask slipped. He listed everything. The dates he'd settled for, the trips he'd pretended to enjoy, the clothes he wished I'd replace. It was like hearing the behind-the-scenes commentary of my own relationship. That night, while he was at work, I went back to our apartment. I packed slowly, carefully. I left my key on the counter with a note. You deserve someone who can give you what you want. I deserve someone who doesn't see loving me as settling. I didn't cry until the door closed behind me. The weeks after I moved out felt unreal, like I'd stepped sideways into someone else's life. I slept on Lena's couch at first, then sublet a small studio across town. It smelled like fresh paint and burned coffee from the cafe downstairs. I bought a secondhand table, 2 mismatched chairs. Nothing matched, but everything was mine. Evan didn't disappear. He just evolved. At first, the messages were angry. You're throwing away 2 years over one bad night. You always do this. Run instead of fixing things. When that didn't work, the tone softened. I miss you. I never said you weren't enough. I just want us to be better. But better still meant different. Then, about a month after the breakup, I got promoted. Senior accountant. A real title, a modest raise. Nothing flashy, but I felt proud. I told my parents. Lena hugged me like I'd won an award. Evan found out within hours. I always believed in your potential, Rachel. I knew you'd get here. There it was. Now I was impressive. He suggested we meet for dinner, to celebrate properly, at the same steakhouse. I didn't respond. Around that same time, the cracks in his fantasy world started to show. Madison posted a late-night Instagram story. No filter. Red eyes. She'd found out her startup founder boyfriend didn't have a company at all. Just a slick website and a mountain of credit card debt. He'd been living off his parents while pretending to pitch investors. A week later, Chloe's situation exploded. Her finance boyfriend, the one who flew first class and talked about international clients, was married. Not divorced. Married. 2 kids. A house in the suburbs. Those trips he'd taken Chloe on? His wife thought they were conferences. Evan texted me when the news broke. Guess you were right about them being fake. But he still didn't get it. He wasn't embarrassed by the lies. He was embarrassed he'd admired them. Watching it all unfold, I realized something that felt almost funny in its cruelty. I had never been behind. I'd just refused to perform. I wasn't looking for love when I met Daniel. I was looking for a replacement French press. We reached for the same box at a bookstore cafe, laughed awkwardly, and somehow ended up talking for nearly 2 hours. About recipes, about his job as a high school science teacher, about how he liked things that took time, fermentation, woodworking, long walks with no destination. There was no spark the room moment. Just ease. On our second date, I cooked. Nothing elaborate. Pasta, vegetables, bread that didn't quite rise right. Daniel asked questions, not in a judging way, but curious. This smells incredible, he said, like it mattered. When I apologized for the bread, he smiled. I like imperfect things, he said. They're honest. I almost cried at the table. We went camping a month later, the same trip Evan had once rolled his eyes at. Daniel was thrilled. He brought a field guide and insisted on stopping every 10 feet to identify plants. I realized I wasn't performing. I was just present. I got stronger without noticing. Started rock climbing again. Went to the gym because it felt good, not corrective. Saved money for a down payment. 8 months in, Daniel didn't pressure me. Didn't compare me. Didn't suggest improvements. He loved me where I stood. That's when I knew. He proposed on a quiet beach walk. No crowd, no photographer, just us and the sound of water. I said yes before he finished the question. We kept the engagement party small. Backyard barbecue, folding tables, string lights that Daniel spent an entire afternoon untangling with my dad. My mom made potato salad. Someone brought lawn games. It felt like laughter stitched together with sunlight. I was at the grill when Lena touched my arm. Rachel, she said quietly, there's someone at the front. I knew before she said his name. Evan stood on the walkway holding a bottle of expensive wine, dressed like he was attending a networking event. Designer jacket, perfect hair, the version of him that always felt like it was auditioning. Daniel asked me gently if I wanted him there. I'll handle it, I said. Evan congratulated me, smiled like this was a professional courtesy, asked if we could talk privately. He said he'd been thinking a lot, that therapy had helped, that he finally understood what mattered. Then, inevitably, he mentioned my promotion, my house, my confidence. I always knew you'd grow into this, he said. There it was again. As if I'd finally met the requirements. I told him the truth. I didn't grow because you left, I said. I grew because I stopped shrinking. He looked past me, toward Daniel laughing with my family. She seems nice, he said. Very wholesome. She's perfect for me, I replied. He left shortly after. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. He came again on my wedding day. Same driveway, same rehearsed apology. This time, he talked about history, about how he saw my worth now, about how Daniel didn't really understand me the way he did. I let him finish. Then I said the thing I'd been holding for 2 years. Everything good in my life happened after I stopped trying to be enough for you. He scoffed, compared Daniel to places he'd traveled, to things he'd bought. I smiled. Daniel and I are going to Italy for our honeymoon, I said. But even if we weren't, if we spent our whole lives cooking at home and hiking local trails, I'd still choose him, because he never made me feel like love was a consolation prize. He left angry. I went back to my wedding. Later, when I told Daniel what happened, he hugged me and said, "I'm sorry he's still hurting, but I'm grateful he couldn't see what I did." That's my husband. Evan loved the idea of who I might become. Daniel loves who I am. That's not settling. That's home.